Okay, so tonight we are on Twitch for a listen about an interactive listen about importing a weapon into ArmA 3 engine. So I will answer the questions from Twitch chat. I will rephrase them or repeat them so the video can be understood without the Twitch chat visible. For later view, and that's it. Don't hesitate to ask questions and I will answer as soon as possible, and please try to have questions related to the current stage. So I made a little plan, not to forget anything. Let me just pick it up. So I start the import from a low poly, which is already textured. So I don't have anything related to 3D modeling skills, nothing related to this. So I directly start really only about importing. So we're going to see how to use Blender to the maximum to avoid going to object builder. So all the parameters you can use, or at least those I know, etc. Then how to create how to link to the RV mat, to the texture directly in Blender. Then I will make the geometry load, buoyancy loads that are necessary to go into a testing phase, and then we'll move to object builder and see how to add the zashlays, the flash, the muzzle flash, how to make the convex components, and the most important that is going to interest most of the people here is the model.cfg file. So all basics about animation sources and how to make this animated in ArmA. It's going to be pretty basic, but once you get the general idea of the model.cfg, you are pretty good to animate anything. It's just then it's just about time and dedication. And finally, if I have time for it, I will make the resolution loads and shadow loads, which I have already started some days ago. So I made some stages already, and I'm going to go back to them in the video. So you saw the full video in the end is really complete and nothing is hopefully missing. So we start with the model. When you're doing a model for ArmA, I guess that's it for any game anyway, but you want the mesh to be closed to the maximum, and then you only have the animated parts that are completely separate from the base mesh, so to say. So here I can animate this cover, the shit, I lost my word. The bolt, the trigger is separated, the stock is separated, the magazine is, and if I hide this, you also have here 2 bullets that are separated, so I can animate them. If the gun has an open bolt, it's very interesting to have magazines that can be shown empty or full when the bolt is the gun is firing bolt closed. It's less interesting, but it can make a good magazine model in the 3D world. So once you have your model correctly made for ArmA, you import it into Blender. And the first step you want to do, and that I have already done, is to create the vertex groups in this panel here. in edit mode. So the vertex group are the same as named selections that you have in object builder on any model. Let's take this one, and for example, the named selections are this vertex groups actually, which is the correct name. So here I'm going to give a name to every part that I want to animate. So I have the bolt springs, which are inside. I have the bolt itself. I have the cover, magazine, and so on. So here I really named everything, even if I'm not quite sure to animate them yet. I have animated the ArmA, which is, I think, pretty useless. Oops. I have animated the stock that I will probably not animate, but anyway, the good point is that once it's named and I'm going to make the resolution loads in the very last step, it will keep the names through the resolution loads, and whenever I want to animate the stock, I don't have to go through all animation through all loads and recreate the vertex groups. So at least that's done, and that's it. And so I go all the way for these vertex groups, and I don't forget as soon as I am now to have the camo name selection. So camo is hidden selections that you can use for retextures later. So I have a camo for one texture, camo 1 for a second texture, etc. As I have only one texture here, I have only one selection for reskinning, and also I have only one material here in Blender, so it's basically one material per texture set. What is kind of weird and not like Object Builder is that the textures are not assigned to vertex groups but to materials, which is why you want to have one material per texture set. Then you want to go to let me find it back. I think that's here. First, you want to go to edit mode and be sure to tick to the object mode, sorry, and be sure to tick the ArmA object property tick box here. That is going to enable the export parameters for P3D. So if you don't tick this, the P3D export will be empty. And once I've ticked this and I go back to the material tab, at the very bottom here I have the texture field, texture text box, and RVMat text box. So here I have a relative path to the P drive, so directly to the PA or TGA, and here it's P. I'm going to keep TGA for this tutorial, but I usually move it back to PA, even if binarization is going to move it to PAA anyway. Then the same for the RVMat file in this field here. So here you're already, once you have done these stages, you're almost ready to export to Object Builder actually. The only thing I want to create is the geometry load, because it's also quite annoying to do in Object Builder, and it's actually very fast to do in Blender. And so if you have not seen it, I did Blender to ArmA complete tutorial on a static model, so on some terrain assets, so unanimated. But in this video I give the basic input to create a good geometry load. So basically it's very simple shape, and I'm going to make here the buoyancy load as in the same time as the geometry load. So I'm just actually making it fit to the general shape of the gun here. And you really want it to be very simple, and it doesn't have to be complex nor anything, because anyway it's just going to be world collision and object collision in general, and it's going also to influence on physics when the gun goes ragdoll when the character is killed, which is done by the buoyancy LOD. And geometry LOD is going to tell to the game, okay, the gun is hitting the ground, blah blah blah. Okay, so I have my geometry LOD finished here. I'm just going to adjust the here. And that's it pretty much. Maybe I could adjust this one. Here we are, it's better. Okay, and I'm done. So on this I want to make the name selection, so vertex groups too, only on animated parts. So actually, in case this get animated one day, it was, I don't know if I call it stock or stock. So I want to give it the very same name as the same part in the other LOD. So I'm assigning it here, and also the magazine, because if I don't know, like the animation, the gun has no magazine, it's going to be hidden in the resolution LOD, and I also want it to be hidden in the geometry LOD. This way, if, for example, you get killed with no magazine on the weapon, it's not going to bounce on an invisible magazine because the geometry hasn't been assigned to the named selection. So I just verified that that's defined correctly. Okay. Here is my geometry. So you can already, it's not necessary to do it, and it's quite fucked up, to be honest. But don't forget to tick the box. If you duplicate a LOD, it's going to keep it, but if it's a new LOD, you have to retick it. And here you can select the kind of LOD you want. So here it's the geometry right there, and that's it. And this one, just going to check if it's closed. It's not, so I'm going to work back on this later and set it to. What is important here is that here you see I have my resolution LOD 1, which is resolution 1 in the ArmA property, and I have my shadow LOD that I kept to resolution 1. And what is going to happen if I export to P3D here with the, and first I have an error. What was it again? Well, it might be because I set this here. So get back to custom, export P3D, and here you go. So as I told, it's quite fucked up. So I usually let it to custom, but what you don't want to do is to have 3 times 1, because here I have 3 times 1 and I can't swap between the LODs. So what I want to do here is to have a different value for every LOD that is going to be converted to Object Builder. Then if I go to export again, export it, oops, and go to my grease gun. Okay, so here I have the gun that I already scaled based on the Thomson model, so it's pretty much a good size already. But you can rescale it in the even if when it's already finished, you can keep rescale it without breaking anything, so it's pretty interesting. Then I have the work in progress shadow load that I started a few days ago, and here I have my geometry load, and as you can see, the geometry here isn't matching to the actual model. So if that happens, it's because you created the object, but it's not, you didn't validate the location, rotation, and scale. So what you're going to do is press Ctrl A and here validate all parameters. And once you have done this, you can export, and this time you will have the scaled geometry load here directly available. What I'm just noticing here is that I forgot this pistol stock, so I'm going just to generate it very quickly here. Here we are. Okay, so let's re-export this time. It should be the last one. And so the workflow is really faster when you use Blender directly to export to P3D. And it's also easy to, okay, I have something wrong, I can get back into Blender and always keep my Blender file source, and this way the P3D and object builder becomes secondary. So that's fine now. Now what I always do, and I'm going to do it because I'm not a robot and I tend to forget stuff. The best thing is to go to a sample. So here I'm going to navigate to an A3 model, which is a Thomson, but you can also use the ArmA 3 sample models. And here it is. And this way I'm sure not to forget anything. So the very important load for testing is the geometry and the memory load that is going to give all the axes. View pilot, shadow volume are not necessary, are not important in the very first steps. So I already have my geometry, so it's a good file. So what I'm going to do here is to change this to geometry. Select everything, go to structure, convexity, component, convex hull, and it's going to transform my 3D into these boxes here that are my window is closed, that are components. It's very important to have it to components, otherwise the geometry load is invalid. And you see that my name selection are said to be invisible, but in fact there are only the points. The faces are removed by the convex component process. It's not a problem. It's just a problem when you want to select it back and assign materials, because you actually have to select the faces. But well, that's, I guess that's old as Operation Fleshpod. So okay. I'm going to close Blender here. All right, so the shadow load, which is not valid because it's open and it's too highly detailed, but just for now I'm going to just, in case I don't have to do it, I don't have time to do it tonight, just going to go through the basic steps, which are press E, remove the texture and the material. Press U to make the edges sharp. Triangulate the first one. We press sharp. Then remove the camo name selection to avoid the engine to assign the textures that you don't want. And then you keep all the other name selections. So that would do shadow load. What I also do is to, I don't know if that's efficient or if it does any optimization, but I took the habit to do it, is to go to the UV editor and delete the UV here. I don't know if that's worth it or not, but just an habit. So here we are with the grease gun. So in O2, and as you can see, the texture in TGA is kept and the path is valid. You can verify this in tools, mask texture and material renaming, and you see my passes are black. If they were wrong, they would be in red. So if I go to the designated location, my files are available related to P drive. So basically my textures are here. So the RV mat here is already done, but I'm going to check it back. I'm not going to go back to the texture stages because it's explained in my previous video. But if I go to the RV mat, just to check I have the good values, which should be the case. Okay. So what I do for every mat is basically go to any weapon from ArmA 3 that I extracted on my P drive, and for example the grease gun is all made of metal. So I'm going to take a weapon in ArmA that is made all of metal without any wood, for example, and I'm going to copy paste the RV mat and then just update the values here. You can see that I have a detailed DT for metal that is inherited from the Thompson RV mat. It adds small scratches that are not absolutely necessary. Then the Fresnel is going to give the shyness of the material alongside the specular power and stuff. So once you have your RV mat and textures at the good location, the first thing you can do is to check in Bulldozer, because actually when it's the first time you import the model, you can see that okay, the SMDI file isn't tweaked properly, or I have a problem in my texture and I want to go back to Substance Painter or to Blender or whatever. You can do this before going into further stages. So I'm just going to verify this. If Bulldozer is stuck like this, which happens 95% of the time, I noticed that you can go to where is it? That's another fucking problem. Okay. Sometimes the icon isn't showing up here and you have to go to Alt Tab and find it. So I go to Bulldozer Configurator, press Apply Configuration, OK, and it should magically unlock Bulldozer. Yeah. It's a terrible software again. So here I am. So I did this already before, so the RV mat is pretty much tweaked, so it's not shiny enough, so I have to rework the SMDI, but you can see a bit of specular here on the top. But the color is good, the normal map is good, so it's good to carry on. and I will tweak my SMDI file later. So I can come back to Object Builder. Okay, so now that I'm here, the first step I usually do is to copy paste the muzzle flash proxy. So you can actually create it by going into create proxy and set the path here. So ArmA comes with many muzzle flashes from machine guns, heavy machine guns, rifles, and so on. For example, on the Thompson here, it's the Scorpion SMG. So I'm going to keep this one anyway. I don't really care because they all pretty much look the same, or they're whether small or big, but they quite look the same. By the way, RHS did very beautiful work on their muzzle flashes. They should do a video tutorial too. So here I'm going to center this point of the proxy on the center of my barrel. So I can go wireframe. Okay. And it's pretty annoying to center because you have to zoom in, and get it here pretty much to the center. Okay. So as you have seen, I went to four views, so don't forget to re-enable DirectX each time, so you have quite better performances when you navigate through the different viewports. Okay, the convex component add-on. Okay, next step is going to be the memory load creation. So I go to the load selector, create a new one, and go to memory, or are you? Okay. So I usually do this step in Object Builder. The reason for that is that I don't quite know how to do it properly in Blender, and anyway, Object Builder is quite easy it's quite simple to use for axis and memory points. Here again, I'm going to have this Thompson as a reference, and you can have the same one, a reference with ArmA 3 samples. The reason I use the Thompson is that our memory points are standardized through all models and configs, so this way it gives me less work to standardize every gun. So you have the bipod memory point. I'm going to go all through these memory points here, and I start so with the first one. The bipod memory point is necessary for all individual weapon. It's going to tell the game where your guy is going to put the weapon on the ground or on the wall with weapon resting. So here it's placed quite correctly. So on a weapon that has no, even on a weapon that has no bipod, it's necessary to have this point. I'm going to place it here and go back to my sample. I have then bolt axis. So the bolt axis is my axis for the bolt coming in and out on each shot. I'm going to create this one on the grease gun. So my workflow here is to select the bolt with the name selection, to copy it to the memory load, and then I go to the point selector and I remove all the inside, so I only have left, I'm going to have to remove those two. And actually this face is not going to make it. I have the circle here, and what I'm going to do is to press Shift D, and it's not going to work because it's not balanced. Yeah. So I'm going to remove these and only keep the 4 angles here. And so Shift D is going to merge the points to the center. And then I go to the left view, not to the front view. Okay, my model isn't. So I go here and I select XZ, and it's going to limit the movement to an horizontal movement, and I can't move it to the top. So with this, I'm sure that my 2 points are perfectly aligned and that my axis is perfectly aligned to the bolt actually. And if you see here, as I copy pasted the bolt to the memory load, I kept this, and I'm only going to rename it to bolt axis. So I don't have the same name as in the resolution load one. And so that's it. I did one axis. As you can see, the texture is not kept on the point, so you're just simply done with the first axis here. Then I have I and I200 and iLook. iLook is going to be the top of the sight, of the front sight, and I is going to be the middle of the rear sight, and I200 can be up to 1000 blah blah blah, is what is the setup for the animated sights on some models. So for the Thomson, you had two steps, so the rear sight, bottom rear sight, and top rear sight, which is why I set up 2 memory points. But otherwise, on the Grease gun, you only have the rear sight, A quick word about the rear sight on a weapon. You absolutely want it to be centered. At least the first step has to be centered. Otherwise, the gun is going to be shooting too high or too low. To do this, you simply go to the front view and press Ctrl right click, and I keep I'm dragging, dropping, and here I can align my sight quickly. Now I have to revert. Back here. Okay. So here I won't even need a rear point because I have no animated sight, so it's going to automatically align to the front sight, which is already aligned with the rear sight. So I just need this one, and so I go to my memory load, paste the top of my my iron sight. And there I pressed. Oh, how is it done? That's kind of weird. It's like a triangle. Okay, so here it's the good thing here is that it's flat and it's a rectangle, so I can Shift D. Otherwise, if it was a bit like this, I would take the highest point or the point that is on the highest side, so usually the highest point, and only merge the highest part. So here, as it's flat, I could, oops, left, blah blah blah. And to remove the front one here and merge this, and here I don't have the name selection because it was camo. And what I'm going to just do is create a new selection and call it I, and my voice is doing a shit. Okay, back to the Thomson. Then we have Connect Alven and UST Alven. So those are basically UST means end in Czech, and Connect means start in Czech. So UST Alven is end of the barrel and Connect Alven is beginning of the barrel. So basically Connect Alven is the chamber and here you have the breech of the gun. So here it's quite easy to do again. As for the bolt, and even more importantly here, the engine is requiring you to have the end and the start of the barrel on the same level. If you have an offset like this one is higher and stuff, it's going to generate an error because AI is going to be annoyed to aim. So you don't want to make ArmA 3 AI worse than it actually is. Okay, so I just have to locate my chamber. Oh, I'm not even going to piece off with this. I'm just going to take the front of the barrel, move it to my memory LOD, press Shift D here, then call it so it was Usti Alven. I'm almost sure to have made a mistake because it, yeah, of course. When you do this all day long, you remember, but once you have stopped for a week, you start to make mistakes again. And the next one I want to have is connect Alven. So for this one, I use my UST Alven, cut it, paste it to my resolution LOD. I shouldn't have done this. Just going to copy it, paste it here, move it with the same techniques here, and drag it to the chamber approximately. Then I rename it to connect Alven, cut it, bring it back to memory LOD. When you do this, when you duplicate a point, don't forget here, if I select connect Alven, it's this one, but if I select UC Alven, oh no, it's renamed it. Oh, fuck. Yeah, because I moved from the, but you want to be sure that you don't keep the name on the point you duplicated. If I would have done this only in the memory LOD without going to the resolution LOD, it would have kept the UST Alven, and I would have two UST Alven, which would be the same that connect Alven, so the engine would understand that the barrel is 0 millimeter long, so it can lead to issues. And it's basically the same for any axis or fire geometry, etc. Next ones are Nabunichi end. So these are the memory points for cases ejection. So it doesn't have to be this name, but we use the standard ArmA 3 name, so we kept this, and you can change it actually in your config if your weapon is independent. I'm going to paste the one I already have because I'm lazy, and you can, and I really recommend you to do the same with ArmA 3 samples. I'm going to pretty much center it here to my bolt. And where would it eject? A bit further, like maybe on here or here. So because the bolt is going to go to the rear, and time for the extractor to hit the bullet to hit the extractor, which is usually a bit on the rear, and eject. It never eject directly from here. It would have too many jamming and stuff. So once my points are ready, I'm just cutting them and pasting them in the memory LOD. Pretty fast again. Then here I have the sling eye axis, which is specific to the Thompson. Basically, Howard, the original author, animated this part. So when you are shooting, it's going to rotate a bit, and I'm going to have the same animation on my on my grease gun, but for another part, which is the cover. And then I have the trigger axis. So this one I want to have it because it's standardized through the weapons. So I go back to my grease gun, and here I'm going to make it myself. So you see the axis is not going to be rotation, because if I did so, I would certainly have to move my pin. It's going to make it, or no. I could have this part here going below the level, and I think that the grease gun was a translation trigger. This should be checked in the internet, just to be sure before I animate, because it's not going to be the same axis. If I want to go for a translation, I'm going to have an axis this way, and if I want to have a rotation, I will have an axis this way. And if anyone knows, don't hesitate to comment. I'm really not quite sure. So I might have the pick. Yeah, okay, that's a rotating trigger. Well, this one is not in a good shape. Okay, so let's make it rotating. So if I want it to rotate, I'm going to select pretty fast. Here you see the points are aligned, so the axis is actually already made. Ta-da! Paste it and rename the name selection from trigger to rename trigger axis. And that's it. So oh no, I still have the cover that I want it to bounce when I shoot, and not to be static, because it would be quite lame. So again, here I'm going to copy it and make it come here. If your memory point is memory load is too heavy already, you can paste it to an empty load and do your work here. So point selection here, and that's it. Quite good. And here I'm going to merge the two sides, and I'm done with the cover axis. Pretty simple. Click cover axis and cut it, delete the load, it is now useless. Go back to memory and paste it in the memory load. So here I have all my axes, and I'm not going to animate this lever here, because actually ArmA doesn't have any complex, except if it's a rearming lever. I'm not very aware of the system inside the grease gun, so I could just give it its axis just in case, and that is done. So I'm just retrieving these points, go to my memory load, and you can see that it's already done. Merge it, copy paste, limit to a vertical translation, and rename from handle to handle axis, and I'm okay. This time I'm done. So I have my resolution load, memory load with all axes, geometry load. I forgot one very important thing here, is to set it a mass. So let's say like it must be like 5 kilograms. It doesn't really matter. It does for vehicles, but for weapons and stuff, it's not important. I want to have an empty shadow load because it's going to be fucked up, so I'm going to turn this into an edit load so it won't be binarized. And that's it. So now we can move on to the model.cfg, so all the animation with the parts and axis we defined. So here again, my usual lazy workflow is to go to an existing model.cfg from a similar gun and basically copy paste it because I'm fucking lazy. I really recommend you to do this too with ArmA 3 samples if you have them, but with the Mikero tools you can, with dp3d.exe, you can actually extract the model.cfg from any binarized p3d. You can also use, where it's not there anymore, it's changed. Okay, you can go to odal converter .maverick dash, little dash, tiret in French, applications.com, and here you can send any p3d and even the ones from your favorite mod or ArmA 3 directly. You can send it and you can download the extracted file, extracted model, and the, more importantly, the model config to actually use it. That's the purpose. To be noted that the debinarized files will have some brews, so it won't be usable. It's just for educational purpose. You can see here complex geometry is distorted. This way you can't actually steal assets from other mods or from BI, but you can use them as educational assets, which is very interesting to learn if you don't have the samples or if you think that the samples are too simple for your work. So how does it work? Basically, you have model.cfg in the folder of your asset, and then you have, it's divided in two parts. So you have the skeleton and the CFG model. So to sum up quickly, the skeleton is going to tell the engine, okay, this point, this named selection is bound to this one or this one, and this other selection is bound to nothing, and it's just bound to the center of the model. So when you see this, the structure here, if I write model selection A is bound to nothing, so it's bound to the center, and then if I write section B is bound, so it's the second part of the line, to selection A. So when A is going to move, is A as a translation applied to it, B is going to follow A. So it makes all the, so to say, it makes all pieces attached. So if I want, for example, I don't know, like some bullet casing to be animated, I want the case to be separate. It has a separate name selection, but I want it to be bound to the bolt. Then I'm going to say that declare first the bolt and then say, okay, the case is bound to the bolt, and that's pretty much it. It can go to pretty complex skeletons on vehicles, but for weapons it's quite simple, as you can see on the Thompson that I'm going to copy. I have the magazine, which is bound to nothing, the trigger, which is bound to nothing, the bolt, which is bound to nothing, and so on. And it's actually very simple. If I go to, let's say, a tank, just so you see the difference, and because I know them quite well now, so I'm going to the base config of my tanks, which is model.cfg here, and here I have my skeleton for Christie tanks, Vickers tanks, so those with wheels above and wheels under. I have way more complex, and it's still quite easy here. Okay, Okay, here it's a bit more complex. You have autoc versus the turret, so I have the turret and the gun is bound to the turret, the driver is bound to the turret, the commander is bound to the turret, and so on. And if I go to here, I have the hatches, and you can see that the hatches are too bound to some parts, and so on. It's quite simple in the end once you have the system in. Things I can add is that the skeletons can be inherited, so I could have the MP38 here inherit from the M1988 by adding like you would do for config.cfg. I would just make it inherit this way to keep these values, and I can also have the skeleton inherit here, and there I could remove all parts. Like for example, I could remove the bolt because the bolt is the very same stuff, but actually I would need it to have the clicker and so on. So yeah, you can inherit like a config. It's like SA and error at the beginning, but it's quite simple. And so you need the skeleton for a weapon, and you can have a skeleton for multiple models. So that's the basic part. The other part is the CFG models, and that's where you're going to declare all animations here, and also the named selections that you want to be able to retexture. So here you see camo, and the slay, which is the muzzle flash in check. And here you can see that, for example, on the Thompson M1928, I have the animations for all the animated sights, which is quite annoying to set up, to be honest. But well, once you have done it once, you can export it to other weapons and just adjust your code. And you can see that also that it works again like a config. So I declared the first class, and the other class I just inheriting, and I just change the values I want and not the others, which make the config more easy to read and to write. When you extract the model.cfg from a binarized model, you're going to have something not inherited, so you will have all the classes, the full classes all the time, which makes them harder to read, but they were written this way. Again, you can inherit from, you see the M1928D inherits from the base animation, so I don't have to redeclare them for every model. And you will also notice that in the CFG model, as opposite to the skeleton where I can set any name here, you want the class to have the name of the P3D. It will tell when you are going to binarize, the engine is going to look for, in the CFG model, is going to look for a class that has the exact same name as the P3. So you have to give it the right name. So you see here I have the M1998, the D and A1, which are here with the respective name. Even if the animation isn't changing, I have to declare the class. And that's pretty much it. You can see here that I have a call an exterior class that is default and rotation. If you are doing a weapon, a standalone weapon, you have to declare rotation and default, because you can't have external classes in a model.cfg. We have this because actually we have a complete setup, and if you go up to the root of the model sources, you already have common skeletons, for example, and here is defined. It's not right there, it's here, not there. Where are you? The default is defined already, and the rotation is somewhere, but maybe here. No. Well, it's somewhere, but it's declared. When ArmA is going to be binarize, it's going to go up to climb the path to the origin, to the P drive, and it's going to read all model.cfgs that it's going to encounter, and you can this way pre-declare some classes above your model.cfg. The reason for this is that you're going to avoid to redeclare each time the very basic classes like default or rotation. So that's the general principle, and I hope that I made them quite simple to understand. So what I'm going to do now is to write the Grisgon model.cfg. So it's quite simple in the end. Once you have the habit for doing it, let's go there and let's retrieve the piece 3D we were working on. Alright, it's saved. I'm going to retrieve it and paste it here, and I'm going to take the name. Okay, so let's go. Today I'm going to write it manually, so this way you can see the whole process as if you were going on from scratch. So I'm inheriting from default because weapons have no base class. I'm going skeleton inherit. I don't inherit from anything, so I'm leaving in this empty, and skeleton bones here. Okay, and here I have to write something that is matching to my model. So let's open it. I'm going to go alt screen here and bring this to the bottom, so we have everything on one screen. Yeah, that's pretty good. So here I want to animate every part, so I'm going here to declare all the parts I want to animate. It's pretty simple in the end. So the bolt is bound to nothing, so I'm just going to write this and make, oh shit, some indents. The last one must have no comma trailing. So the bolt is bound to nothing, and I keep it like this. The bolt 2 are the springs that are inside the gun, so I'm going to call them bolt 2, which is not meaning anything, but I don't really care. I'm going to bond them to bolt for now, so they are not visible from the exterior, and they are going to be translated with the bolt. Then I have bullet 1 and bullet 2, and those are bound to the magazine. And here you see I already have a mistake. Reason is that when you say that first part is bound to another part, you must have declared the reference part first, like this. So magazine is bound to nothing, and bullet 1 is bound to magazine, and bullet 2 is bound to magazine. But you can't have magazine after. It has to be declared at least once, even if it's bound to, let's say, blah blah blah, and blah 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 is defined here. But you need to have magazine in the first column in order to use it as a as a reference. Then I have camo, but it's not animated. Cover is animated, and it's bound to nothing. ArmA is going to be animated, but well, maybe not. And handle to magazine is defined. Shit. Handle stock and trigger. And trigger. Okay, so my skeleton is done. Pretty simple. Just be sure to respect this, what I was saying about declaring first and then bound to it after. Now I'm going to the CFG model, and here I'm not going to write it because it's fucking too long and fucking too annoying to do. I give it the same name as the p3d file. Go there. I'm just going to go through the first steps. So I have skeleton name. So skeleton name is self-explanatory. I have to give it the name I gave to the skeleton class. Sections inherit. For example, if I have a base class, like I would have multiple variants of the Chris gun, and similar, they would only all have one texture. I would have called camo, and I would inherit from the base class, and I wouldn't have to redeclare the sections because I would only have those, and all the guns would have the same. But here I don't have it, so don't care. And so here I only have one camo, and thusly I don't recall why we are declaring it, but it's usually done, so I keep it. It's important to declare here because it's going to enable the hidden selection, and if you don't want your model to be reskinnable, you just remove the selection and that's it. Then I go to the most impressive part, I guess, for beginners, but that is not quite that hard because it's just about copy pasting in the end. How are the animation made? So here I could inherit too. All the time I can inherit. If I go back to my tanks, you see that my vehicles tank is inheriting from the Christie animation that are different track systems. So I have all the very long list of animations, and actually the animation I can inherit here as a config.cfg. I can inherit from the mother class or father class, and just change the values I want, which is very useful when you start to have similar models for like vehicles and so on. For weapons, it's not very interesting to have this. And so, as I told you, I'm going to retrieve and explain while I tweak the animation system. For a weapon, it's very simple because, as you can see, for here Thompson, I have, go back here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 animations for the Thompson M1A1. So it's quite easy to animate actually. What you will always find in the weapon is the bolt, the trigger, the muzzle flash rotation, the no magazine, which tells when that hides the magazine when it's empty or when it's missing. Then you have the bolt empty, bolt fire begin, fire end, going to tell where is the position at the beginning, where is the position at the end. Trigger is going to tell the rotation of the trigger, and magazine hide is going to hide the magazine to match to the animation. So it's a very simple one because here, for example, let's just take the magazine example, it's going to hide the magazine when the reload animation happens between each X and Y temps. So it's going to be, okay, at 0.2 seconds it's going to disappear, and at 0.3 it's going to reappear because the end of the character is going to pick up a new magazine and so on. For very complex animations, you could make it here like translate and disappear, or translate, go to the pocket and follow the animation of the end. So it's very complex and very shitty to make. I was doing it before, but I'm not doing it anymore. And you can make it go back inside the magazine well, but it's very complicated, and most of the time the first setup you're going to do is a simple hide magazine, and you're already good. I need some beer. My voice is falling. Holy shit. So now I'm going to adapt this to the Grisgun, and I'm also going to explain what are the different values. Oh my god, that's terrible. So that those are deprecated, extracted from blah 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 blah. That's rubbish. It makes things unreadable, and well, you want to keep them out. So let's start with, okay, let's say the muzzle flash rotation. So what you can do, and I suggest you to do it, is to look for animation sources, ArmA, on Google, and you will come to this page on BI Wiki. Ah, no! Holy shit! Wow, 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 wow. Ah, it was really not the night to die, motherfucker. That's the... Okay, we got fucked up by BI. Yeah. I'm going to try to find another source. Oh my god. Can't I like go to the archives? Yeah. Cache. Okay. So it's the presentation sucks, but so it's okay. BI Wiki is ugly, but this time it's really ugly, and okay, it's more readable. In better conditions. So the animations have a class name which you can set pretty much whatever you want, except if it's related to a config or to a hard-coded parameter, which sometimes happen, but not much. But some are bound to functions, so you want to keep the names. But for weapons, there is no such case. It's more for vehicles, which are way more complex in terms of animation. I'm going to move the chat here, and don't hesitate, of course, if you have questions. I don't even know if someone is listening. The type here is going to be the kind of animation. You have hide, translation, rotation, X, Y, Y is French, X, Y, Z, which are the axis. It's going to fix the translation to a certain axis, no matter what the memory points are. Then you have the same for rotations, and that's it. And those are here, the types: rotation, translation, hide, and direct. I never ever use direct. I don't even know what it was. Then you have the source. The source is going to be the animation source, so you have all the list here. That's why I absolutely wanted to show you this page. So you have the name here, which is the source that is going to be in the model.cfg. Then you have the description. Okay, for example, let's take ammo random, that is here. It's not going to be in the fucking list. Are you serious? Let's look for it. Okay, ammo random. So A3 means it comes from ArmA 3. Random value changing every shoot fired from given magazine, and it's for, here you see, weapons. You have specific animation source for kind of models. Some are for any model, like any here. Some are specific to some kind of models. Pretty simple. And for example, before last update, you had the reload magazine for weapons, and it was not working for vehicles. So you couldn't hide the magazine on a vehicle when you were reloading it, it was returning log errors, but now it's finally fixed after 3 years or so. And so on. So you have all the animation sources here. So it takes quite a while to know what you can and what you can do. But it's just let's say standard learning curve. Then you have the selection, so it's the named selection, and that's why one of the reasons why our models are standardized, because I don't have to redefine here bolt axis and here trigger axis and here magazine, because they are all set up directly, and that's it for all weapons. So I can copy paste without doing anything. And then I have min value, max value. So for a rotation, these are more used for script. Like for example, an animation to 0 is the, let's see, the unanimated state, and 1 is the animation is finished state. So .5 would be the middle of the animation, like the middle of the rotation stuff. It's used for scripting. It's used for some functions are using it, and so on. Then you have the hide value. For the type hide is going to tell at which value is the selection won't be visible anymore. Then you have the unhide value that is set to -1 by default. I usually not change it. I usually don't change it. Sometimes it's helpful. Then you have the anim period. It's the time in seconds that the animation is going to last. Useful for doors, for whatever, mostly doors. The init phase is going to be okay. It's the value that the unanimated state is. So if it's 0, my rotation, for my translation will be at 0 state, and if I set 1, the model will start to 1. So basically, for an open bolt, I would set 1. And it's going to be going 1 0 1 0 1 0, and if I set 0, it's going to be 0 1 0 1 0 on the animation. For specific to the translation, you have the minimum phase and maximum phase. No, that's not it. No, phases are, I don't recall. Anyway, everything is written in this page. So whenever you have a dot, you can come here. Phase of the animation, blah blah blah. I don't even use it anyway. I only use value and angle and stuff. Then you have offset. It's going to tell in rads, in radians, the offset of the anim. So it's the most annoying part to tweak. And you have so that's for the translation, and for the rotation you have the same with angle 0, so for min value, and angle 1 for max value. I recommend you for angles to write them this way, so rad something instead of, for example, I do have a rotation in, okay, because rad is going to be 0 to 1 value, and the engine only reads from 0 to 1. So instead of writing 30 degrees and make a cross product to get it in binary value, I'm just going to be writing rad 30, and it's going directly to convert it on binarization, so I don't have anything to do. So I just copy pasted from the Thomson, and let's check for the result. Maybe as it is standardized, maybe it's going to be already quite working. So you can see here it's going to be fucking stuck again. So I don't even know if that's from my side or not, but I'm going to apply bulldozer preferences to unlock this. Here we go. So here it seems that I have an issue. Oh, that's fine. So now I can navigate through the animation source by pressing Enter or backspace. And I have, so let's start here as a magazine. So the magazine disappear at 0.5. Very simple. You have the reload magazine, which is quite the same principle. And you have the reload. Reload is going to be, this is the animation when I'm firing, and you can already see that my bolt is going wrong way. Bitch. So first thing I want to do is go back to my txt file, and this one is reload, and I have so is it made? So translation, and I'm going just to invert the offset here and save my file. So the good thing that you're going to like is that it's not going to be fixed because I changed my text. I have to close Bulldozer and restart it and restart the binarization process. Yeah, I know it sucks. So here, when my gun is empty, as you can see, my bolt is going to be stuck backwards. So here I'm quite happy because it's matching what I would expect. So it's this one, and you see that I have them is empty, and instead of having an offset, it's set to a phase, so it's more related to memory points instead of an offset on an axis. So it's, I don't like how it's set up, but as it is matching, I'm not going to change it because I'm lazy. Always be lazy, guys. And yeah, that's almost it. The only thing I would like to add is that on my rotation, on my reload, I want the cover to move, so I'm just going to add after here, I'm going to add the rotation like the trigger, call it cover rotate, and the axis is cover axis, and the selection is cover, and the angle is going to be rad, let's say 5 degrees to have a first try. Okay, default, so I don't care about this. Okay, so let's close this, and you may have noticed that my muzzle flash isn't rotating. And why is that? Let's check if that's the same one here. Is it well defined or what? Lastly, you know why? Because you see typical error. Zasley is a name selection, and you can see there that actually my Zasley isn't defined in the skeleton. Classic error, it happens. But don't be surprised if the part is absolutely not moving. It could be just a skeleton mistake. So I have to go back there. Hello. Oh my god. Okay. Are you still not rotating? Seriously? So here I'm shooting. So to 0, I'm here, and when I'm going to shoot, it's going to move this way. So my offset is a bit too low. So I'm going to increase it, and you can see that the cover is moving by 5 degrees. So from I don't quite like it, because it should go from, it should like go to this and not go from 0 to 1, because then it's going to jump from 1 to 0. So what I'm going to do is to change it. So cover rotate goes there to 2.5 degrees, and there minus 2.5. So this way it's going to just move up and down and be fluid in the animation. And oh yeah, I want to change the offset of my bolt. I really hate those comments that are completely useless. Seriously. And what I could even do is to inherit and clean up this, and so I'm not going to do it now. And let's just fire begin. I'm not going to change it, but I'm going to increase this to 1.2. Let's try. And I have yet again to restart bulldozer, and it's like this during all the tweaking. I still have no questions, so I must be a very good teacher. Or anybody's, no one is hearing me and I'm talking in the space. Or no one likes me. And here you see that my bolt is going too much forward. So it was in that case, it means that this one was tier 1, and in fact it's here it's inverted because the anime was actually inverted in the beginning. What I didn't do is to make the bullets not visible when empty. So you can remember, let's go back to this part here, and this to 0. Okay, so that's my fully loaded lock and load, like we say in Counter-Strike, isn't it? If I set is empty, it's going to lock the bolt backward, but the bullets are still visible. So what I want to do, is to go to bolt empty, and so here I duplicate it, and I'm going to call it bullet 001 empty and inherit, because I'm lazy, of course. And so this time I want it to be a type hide. The source is empty, and this I don't care because it's defined by default. Define it to bullet 001. The axis is, I don't have axis because it's an hide. Mean value is 1, 1, and offset isn't valid. Yep. Init phase is 0. Anim period is 0. And I want to add the height value to, apparently it's 0.8 if I'm having the same value as above. And I want the same for bullet 2, which is going to inherit from bullet 1. I'm just going to change this and remove all this because it doesn't change. And let's retry. And what annoys me is that my muzzle flash is still not rotating. Maybe because it's actually incorrectly defined. Let's go to this, for example. Is it defined here or no? Yes, it is. No. No. Here maybe. Okay, it's a bit in the base class. Base class. Fuck me. There is rotation. So let's put it like this. Apparently it's fucked up with ArmA random, so I'm going to set it like for the tanks. I'm going to or was it? No, don't tell me this. Let's try this. But otherwise, this one is set to ArmA random, so it's going to rotate on each ammunition. And for the tanks, we set it to time. It rotates through the time, like a clock would. Simple. And we'll check anyway if it works better. Still not moving, bitch. So here I'm 0. Yeah, I don't have the result I wish for the cover. So 0, let's go here to 1, and you see my offset is quite interesting, and it goes back to it doesn't close. Oh, holy shit. No. Why? What the fuck? Okay, let's go to empty. Okay, when it's empty, you see that the bullets are going to disappear. Yay! See it? Like, I could even make them disappear way faster than oh, it should already. That's weird. Let's see if it changes anything. This animation really sucks. Bolt empty, and yeah, I'm a bit pissed off right now actually, and so I'm going to push it in game, and I'm not going to tweak it right now because it's fucking. I'm fucking tired. Why? I don't get it. Anyway, we have the basic system working and stuff, so that's good. Let's go just to make the config, and here again everything is standardized and copy pastable on Ironfront setup, so it's not going to be very a big pain to do. Those are 30 rounds magazines, 45 ACP, which are already defined for the Thompson. So I don't know if I guess it was compatible. If I recall correctly, it was. So let's go directly to CFG weapons because I don't have to define nor the ammo nor the magazine. Let's go where the Thompson is here. Hello, Thompson. And look at this. Very difficult task again, and I'm just copy pasting. I keep the AI config, so where how they are going to actually shoot. Did this shit has a single fire mode or not? Grease gun here. So question for World War II nerds: did the Grease gun have a full auto mode? I will have to reset the mass, so I'm just putting a to-do mark. I keep the same magazine, the same munitions. I'm just removing I200 that I didn't set, removing camera deer values that I won't use. Index 0. Let's set it to, I think that it was set to 100 meters. I keep the same animation. I'm not going to keep the same hidden selection, of course. So I'm just going to retrieve the pass. Don't forget to rename to PAA. Change this to camo. The picture I have to generate. Let's call it Grease gun for now. These are the strings, and it's going to be used for translation and stuff. Here I'm just not going to have the same class name, or I will have a duplicate error. Grease gun, and I didn't change the P3 class. Did I close it? No. And I'm just here pasting the pass to the file, and pretty good. I still have to fix the reload time, which is the fire rate of the gun, and I still have to adjust the mass, which is in an unknown unit in this international metric system. It's something that BI invented from their unicorn world. Otherwise, I'm keeping the values from the Thomson pretty much, and I'm also going to give it the same sound for now because we don't have any sound ready yet. So it is in opens sound framework. It like in there. Thomson here, and I'm just going to change it to 3 Grease gun and call the godlike sound team that we have to make the M3 Grease gun sound. And that's it for the config. So let's try. I'm not going to explain how PBO project or BI tools are working to compile, because my setup is quite specific to Iron Front. So I'm just going to build it quickly. I'm going to check my config. Here I'm using the rapify.exe clan parameter to check the config, and I have a macro running in Notepad to directly check my config in Notepad. Meanwhile, it's still been arising. Okay, that's it. So I'm just going to retrieve the file move assets, and I'm going to build the configs, build the models, build the ArmA, and build the textures. I'm almost to the end, maybe like 10 more minutes. If you have questions, please ask them now, so I can actually answer in the video, and otherwise there won't be any interaction for the whole course, so it's not very funny. So we are about 1 hour and 40 minutes to import the gun in a very basic state, because I don't have the shadow load, I don't have the resolution load and stuff. But usually in 2 hours I would be done if I wasn't explaining everything. And that's good. I'm going to launch a game. What could happen, because my internet connection sucks, is that the stream could shut down, because there is too many things to upload. So if it happens, well, first, sorry for the inconvenience, and I will anyway post the video on YouTube, and if it crashes, I'm going to restart the streaming. But you should be able to see some part of the testing. I'm going to go in virtual arsenal, so it's easier to compute for my internet. Let's go. So we have a test map for the lighting and stuff, but unfortunately, to be sure that the stream is then going to shut down, I prefer to go there. It's here we are. Oh, my angle is wrong. Oh shit, I hate you, ArmA. So the animation has to be redone, so it looks like it. But well, that's how it is. So hey, look at this new US uniform model. Oh my god. Sneaky preview. So here I am. Oh, no. So my site is broken. It's probably a config problem. And let's go into the arsenal. So the ends are are making the model not quite visible. And as I told you, it's not shining enough for metal. It will looks like plastic. So I have to make it more shiny. But the texture render is already very decent, and just have to make it maybe a bit darker and more shiny, which are for the shininess, I don't know, it's the SMDR file, and the darkness and coloring are going to be controlled by the RVMat. That's just some basic tweaking. And so here is the model in first person. Know that L'Autre, who is a French artist who did the model, is currently watching, so you might want to have this first person view. You see my that's quite fucked up actually. It is translating and it should be rotating. That's oh, that's so weird. Well, let's first fix that. It should be like this. So here with L'Autre, you should link your ArtStation portfolio here, even if it's not going to go anywhere because there are not many spectators. But well, people could enjoy the PBR view of the grease gun instead of the shitty ArmA 3 render. Is it going to work? Hey, it does. Cool. So that's a custom setup for Arsenal, where I actually have access to the development parameters. And let's take back the grease gun. I really don't get why the cover got fucked up right like this. It's quite weird. We have to check this. So let's use the diag.exe to remerge the config. And oh, it's not fixing. What the fuck? You have to go back to maybe the M1 Garand as a similar setup. So we only have dexterity. I'm going to remove all this. Maybe my diag setup fucked up because I didn't work on config for a while. Yeah, it's still doing bullshit. And as you can see, it's also this axis issue is really weird. So I'm not going to fix the issues today, but because it's mostly tweaking and it's not very interesting in terms of it's quite long actually, and it's not going to be interesting with as the lesson was on basic knowledge that tweaking is more is quite more complex. because you must know the engine better and stuff. So it might not be the place to do it right now, but if you already reach this stage with your model, I guess that you would be quite happy, and then tweaking is just playing, reapply the configs and so on multiple times until it works, and this way you are going to learn how the engine works. So there is still no question, so I think that the lesson is going to end here. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and that you learned something. Anyway, the file is going to be uploaded on YouTube with timestamps. And it will be accessible to everyone, even if you were not there, even if you were not interested tonight. You can still retrieve it on my YouTube channel. And well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed, and I'm going to shut down and go to drink some water because I don't have it. My voice has died. So that's it. See you around, and if you need specific tutorials that will go further down the understanding of the workflow of the engine or whatever, don't hesitate to send me a PM or a wish list or whatever. The next step would be working or importing a complex vehicle, but it's quite another level again, even if that's the same principle as the weapon. But well, I think that's the next big step, the next big video tutorial, and this one will be 2 hours already. So let's stop here, and have a good night, and thanks for watching. And don't hesitate once that's uploaded on YouTube to share it to your friends or whatever. This tutorial is made to be public and hopefully understandable to everybody, including beginners. Silenced. Go fuck yourself, BTK. Yeah, BTK just wrote a nice silenced MP40. Hopefully. It's obviously an MP40. You have a very deep knowledge of World War II, BTK. Thank you for your very smart comment. And goodbye. See you.